Okay, hi Dylan, this is lesson 3. So if you don't already, go ahead and pause or grab this book and turn to page 12. So you can pause the video while you go grab that. If not, let's go ahead and get started. So this is about patterns. It's pretty simple, and if you know your multiplication facts and your addition and subtraction and division facts, it should be like kind of no problem. So the number sequence is a list of numbers such as 0, 3, 6, 9, 12. The numbers or terms in a sequence often follow a pattern. In the number sequence above, the pattern is that each term is 3 greater than the number before it. You can use a rule to describe the number pattern. The rule for a number pattern is the relationship between the terms in that pattern. The rule for the pattern above is add 3. To find the next term in the pattern, you add 3 to the number before it. So we have 0 plus 3 equals 3. 3 plus 3, so we take this 3 and we add it to the rule. So the next number is 6. So we take 6 and we add it to the rule. So your next number is 9. You take 9, add it to the rule. So your next number is 12, and so on. Take 12, add it to the rule, and your next number is 15. Find the rule for the number pattern 30, 25, 20, 15. Find the next term in the pattern. First, find the rule. So basically what you're doing is you're looking at 30, 25, 20, and 15. So because this number or the number sequence is decreasing, you know you're going to do one of two things, subtract or divide, because your answer to a subtraction and division problem is less than the numbers that you were working with. So you're going to find the difference between these two. I can't divide a whole number. I can't divide 30 by a whole number to get 25, so I know it's going to be subtraction. So the difference between 30 and 5 is 5. The difference between 25 and 20 is 5. The difference between 20 and 15 is also 5. So you know you are going to take each term and subtract it by 5. So the rule is subtract 5. Next, use a rule to find the next term in the pattern. So we've got subtract 5 from 15. So this was our last number in the pattern, 15. And so we're going to take 15, subtract 5, and get 10. So the next term in the pattern is 10. The rule for a number pattern is multiply by 2. The starting number is 5. What are the first 5 numbers of the pattern? So if I start at 5 and I know my rule is multiply by 2, 5 times 2 is 10. Then I take 10 and I multiply that by 2, which is 20. Then I take 20 and I multiply that by 2, which is 40. Then I take 40 and multiply that by 2, which is 80. It asks for the first 4 numbers in the pattern. 5 is the first number in the pattern. So really we just needed to go to 40 to get the first 4 numbers in the pattern. Find the rule for this pattern. 96, 48, 24, 12. So like I said a little bit before, you need to think about whether the numbers are increasing or decreasing. Obviously, they are decreasing because they are going down or getting smaller. Which operations can you consider for this rule? I know I can subtract or divide. Each number is half the number before it. So, I mean, there's a couple different ways you could try this. You could say, well, 96 minus 48 equals 48. Oh, that's interesting. And then if you take 40, and then if you want to continue on with this rule, minus 48, that would get you 0. So that does not get me the next number. I have 96, 48, not 0. So subtracting 48 is not the rule. So what the rule is, just looking at this, if I take 96 and I subtract 48, I get 48, which means 48 is half of 96. So if I take 96 and I divide it by 2, I get 48. And then if I take 48 and I divide that by 2, I get 24, which is the next pattern in the sequence. If I take 24 and I divide it by 2, I get 12, which is your next pattern in your sequence, or next number in your number sequence, not next term. And then if I take 12 and I divide that by 2, the next term in my number sequence would be 6. So let's see if we did that right. 96 divided by 2 equals 48. 48 divided by 2 equals 24. 24 divided by 2 equals 12. And the rule is to divide by 2. Find the rule for this number pattern. 4, 8, 16, 32. So the number sequence is increasing. So you know that the two operations you can use for a number pattern or the number sequence that is increasing is addition or multiplication. So what you need to do is find, what can I do to 4 to get 8? So 4 plus 4 equals 8. Let's see if that works for the next term. So I take 8 and I add it to what I think my rule is, plus 4, and I get 12. Is that the next term in your number sequence? It's not. So plus 4 does not work. So what's another way to get from 4 to 8? Multiply by 2. So 4, let me put this down here. 4 times 2 equals 8. Yep, that works. And then I take the next number, 8, and I multiply that by 2. This is my rule, what I think is my rule, and I get 16. Does that work? Yep. And then 16 times 2 is 32. Yep, that works. So each number is 2 times the number before it. The rule is multiply by 2. Find the next term in the pattern. Use the rule to find the next number. So my last term in the number sequence was 32. So I'm going to stick, that's 32. I multiply that by 2, and I get 64. So the next term is 64. Got it? All right, let's take a look at what you're going to have to do. Each number in the pattern is less than the number before. Which two operations would you use as you look for your rule? So each number in the pattern is less than the number before, which means it is decreasing. The number sequence is decreasing, which means I can subtract or divide. And that's your explanation, is that the numbers are decreasing. It's getting smaller. Why is it important to test a rule on all numbers in a pattern? Because when you add or subtract, it could not work for the next number or next term. Let's use the terms. Next term. So you need to check to see if you should multiply or divide. Okay. All right, so for this work, you're going to go ahead and take a look at the number sequence and find the rule and then come up with the next term. So do all of those. There's a word problem down here, taking a look at that graph and figuring it out. And then these are kind of the same. So that's pretty simple. It's work that you've probably been doing since maybe first grade, finding the pattern of numbers. And so this is just a little bit more complicated. And I don't have a work that goes along with this. So I'll give you a break on that and we'll go forward from there. So after you take a look at these videos and you do the work, I'm hoping to meet with you on Zoom, maybe Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, to go over your answers. And then I'll kind of give you an idea of what we're going to be doing next, and then I'll share some videos with you then. All right, bye, Dylan.